Hello and welcome to the How to Play video for Tank Throwdown. The base deck contains enough cards for 3 players with 3 tanks and the 12 action and response cards that make up each player deck. Players will move their tanks around the play area and shoot at each other through clever manipulation of their hands and decks. Shots cause points of damage, and if a tank receives 5 or more, it is destroyed and out of the game. The game continues until there is only 1 tank left, and they are the winner. The Move action card is used to move a tank around the play area, and the Shoot action card launches fiery projectiles at your friends. The Armor response cards can help you avoid damage caused by the other player's shots. In addition, there are several double-sided terrain cards with swamps and rock walls, and various bonus cards which have effects when picked up. We'll discuss those in more detail later. Tank Throwdown can be played on almost any available surface, and the play area can be as large as you'd like. To begin a game, create the play area by placing each player's tank card, and optionally any terrain or bonus cards you wish to use during the game, onto the playing surface. All players must agree on the layout before the game starts. Each player shuffles their deck and draws 2 cards into their hand. Players then take turns playing 1 action card from their hand if able. If they can't play an action card, for instance if they have 2 armor cards or an armor and a gremlin in their hand, then they suffer a breakdown. Their turn ends immediately, and they discard and redraw their entire hand. Let's do a turn with a move action. If a player wants to move their tank, they play a move action card from their hand. The card is played on the table, touching their tank card and oriented in the direction that the player wants to move. Tanks can move in any direction but only in straight lines. A move action can be ended at any time, so the player could choose to stop here if they wish. In this example, they'd like to move a bit further, so they set aside the remaining card in their hand and draw cards from their deck, playing them end to end with the last card played to create the action line. The extra cards played have no effect of their own, but simply help describe the path of the tank's movement. A move action ends either when the player chooses, or it ends automatically if a second move card is added to the action line. To finish the action, move the tank card from its original position to the end of the action line, then move any cards played to the player's discard pile. After resolving the player's action, the turn ends with the player drawing back up to 2 cards in their hand. If at any time a player needs to draw but has no cards in their deck, simply reshuffle the player's discard pile to refresh the deck. Play passes clockwise. Now that you've seen how to move, shooting is very similar. The Shoot action card is played touching the tank card and oriented in the direction the player wishes to fire, usually at one of their opponents. The player sets aside the card in their hand, then draws cards from their deck to create a Shoot action line. Unlike a move action, a shoot only ends when a second shoot card is added to the action line. The action cards played have no effect of their own, but help describe the trajectory and strength of the shot. If the shoot action line doesn't reach a target, then the shot misses. The action ends and all played cards are discarded. If the shoot action line reaches an opponent's tank, the shot succeeds and the target may receive 1 or more damage. Sometimes the action line will overshoot the target, but this is fine. Also, only the first opponent touched by the action line is affected. The target player has a chance to play a response card from their hand. If they have no armor cards in their hand, then they receive a number of damage equal to the total number of cards in the shoot action line. Thus, longer shots are also stronger shots. In this case, the target would receive 5 damage and be out of the game. Tokens, coins, or dice can be used to mark the number of damage each tank has received. If the target player does have an armor card, they can use it to reduce the number of damage they are about to receive, or possibly avoid them altogether. The armor card is played and they set their hand aside. They then draw cards from their deck, no need to line them up in this case, until they either draw enough cards to match the number in the shoot action line, effectively canceling the shot, or they draw a second armor card which ends the response. The target receives damage equal to the difference between the throw line and the total number of cards in the response. For instance, this tank would block 3 and receive 2 damage. Those are the basic game rules. Let's look at the other stuff. Terrain cards can be used to add a bit of flavor to the play area. Rock walls and swamps both block player movement, but only rock walls block shots, while shots sail right over swamps. When a move line is blocked, replace the card that touched the terrain with the tank card, and the player's turn ends immediately. If a shoot line hits a rock wall, the action is cancelled and the turn ends. Bonus cards work similarly to pickups in video games. When a move action line or a tank card touches a bonus card, its effects are activated as soon as the move is completed. A Toolbox Bonus allows the player who activates it to remove one card from their deck or discard pile from the game entirely. This will increase the average effect of whichever card type you remove. For instance, if a shoot card is removed, then subsequent shots will benefit from shoot action lines having a chance to be longer than normal. A gas can bonus allows a player to draw an extra card at the end of their turn and select 2 to keep. When activated, the gas can should be placed near the player's deck as a reminder. Gremlins work a bit differently, in that they don't benefit the player who picks them up, but instead hurts their opponents. When activated, the activating player places the gremlin card into one of their opponent's discard piles. It will enter their deck the next time they shuffle and has 2 different negative effects. If the card is drawn into a player's hand, it cannot be played, because it's not an action card, and cannot be discarded except during a breakdown. If the card is drawn during an action or response, they are cancelled, and the player's turn ends. Thanks for watching, and have fun playing Tank Throwdown.